Revenge mode. Sado destroys New Zealand. Tall blacks helpless versus Gilas strength. Ladies and gentlemen, basketball fans across the globe, and especially the passionate faithful of Gilas Pilipinas, welcome back. We are counting down the days to a date that is circled in red, bold ink on the calendar of Asian basketball history, February 26, 2026. This isn't just another qualifier. This is a statement. This is a return of the giant. The headline is simple, but the implications are seismic. Sado is back. We are looking at the highly anticipated return of the 7'3" phenom to the Gilas Pilipinas roster for the FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers against a familiar and formidable foe, the New Zealand Tall Blacks. If you remember the shockwave sent to the region back in November 2024, you know exactly what is at stake. We are talking about a player who didn't just put up numbers. He fundamentally altered the physics of the game. He turned a historic rivalry on its head, delivering a performance that broke an 8-year drought. But since then, his absence has been felt. The Philippines stumbled without their anchor. Now, the stage is set for what is being dubbed revenge mode, not just for Gilas to avenge a loss suffered in his absence, but for Sado to remind the entirety of the FIBA Asia region that the hierarchy changes the moment he steps onto the hardwood. The Tall Blacks are helpless against this level of Gilas strength when the roster is whole. Today, we are going deep, extremely deep, into why this upcoming match is more than a game. It is a coronation of a new era. Let's dive in to truly understand the magnitude of this upcoming matchup on February 26, 2026. We have to strip away the hype and look at the cold, hard reality of what happens when Sado wears the national colors versus when he does not. This narrative isn't built on speculation. It is built on a very specific, historic precedent set on November 21st, 2024. Let's take you back to the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City. That night was not just a basketball game. It was a revelation. For 8 long years, New Zealand, the Tall Blacks, had held a psychological and physical edge over the Philippines. They were the measuring stick. They were the team that could out-muscle, out-hustle, and generally bully Asian teams in the paint. But on that night in November, the script didn't just flip, it was rewritten entirely. Sado delivered performance that is still being dissected by scouts today. We aren't talking about a big man who just camped in a lane and caught lobs. We are talking about a sophisticated, near triple-double dominance. He put up 19 points. He ripped down 10 rebounds. But the statistic that terrified opposing coaches the most? He dished out 7 assists. Let that sink in. A 7'3" center operating as a hub of defense, facilitating play, seeing the floor like a guard, and making reads that unlocked the entire Gilas system. That 19-10-7 line was a catalyst for a historic breakthrough. It handed the Philippines their first FIBA win against New Zealand in nearly a decade, snapping a 4-game losing streak against the Tall Blacks. It was a declaration that the Philippines was no longer just a team of talented guards and wings. They finally had the interior gravity to collapse a defense like New Zealand's. But here is where the story gets complicated, and where the narrative for February 2026 finds its tension. Following that historic high, reality set in. Sado, due to the demands of a professional career in the Japan B League, injury rehabilitation, and the complex scheduling of international windows, had to miss subsequent games. He was unavailable. And what happened? The data is undeniable. The Gilas machine sputtered. When the Philippines faced New Zealand again without their rim protector, without their versatile big man, the result was a stark contrast. They lost. It wasn't just a loss on the scoreboard. It was a loss of identity. Without Sado patrolling the paint, the fear factor evaporated. The Tall Blacks returned to their aggressive, driving style of basketball because it was no longer a 7'3" barrier making them think twice about attacking the rim. The stabilizer was gone. When the offense broke down, there was no release valve in the post. The hierarchy of Asian basketball seemed to snap back to the old status quo. New Zealand physically dominating, and Gilas struggling to hold the interior. This dichotomy, the dominance with him and the vulnerability without him, is precisely why February 26, 2026 is causing such a frenzy across the continent. This isn't just a player returning from injury. This is a return of the team's soul and tactical advantage. The fans know it. The coaching staff knows it. And you can bet your last dollar that the New Zealand coaching staff knows it. Let's analyze the evolution of Kai Sado himself, because the player returning in 2026 is not the same player we saw years ago as a teenager. The scouting reports coming out of Japan and his international stints paint a picture of a player who has graduated from prospect to problem. In the past, critics might have labeled him as skilled, but perhaps lacking the physical fortitude to bang bodies with the toughest enforcers in the region. That narrative is dead. The Kai Sado returning to the Gilas lineup is a fuller player. He is physically stronger. His lower body base is more stable, allowing him to hold position deep in the paint against the physical New Zealand forwards. He has matured. When we talk about his impact, we have to look at the paint zone values. This is a modern basketball metric that measures how a player impacts the game inside the key, not just through scoring, but through gravity. Kai Sado's gravity is immense. When he rolls to the rim, he pulls two defenders with him. This opens up the corners for the Philippine shooters. When he catches the ball at the high post, his vision, demonstrated by those 7 assists in 2024, forces a defense to stay home on cutters, paralyzing their help defense rotations. Defensively, his presence is quantifiable. We call it rim deterrence. It's not just about blocked shots. It's about the shots that are never taken. In that first game against New Zealand, you could visually see the tall Blacks guards turn the corner, see Kai Sado, and dribble the ball back out. That hesitation is the difference between a layup and a contested, late-clock jumper. That is the value he brings. It is a psychological wall that New Zealand did not have to climb when Kai was absent. Now, let's look at the opposition. The New Zealand Tall Blacks are a proud program. They do not get intimidated easily. But the report coming out of their camp suggests they are treating this February 26 clash with the seriousness of a championship final. They know that their recent success against Gilas came with an asterisk. No Kai Sado. They know that to truly claim dominance, they have to beat the Philippines at full strength. We can expect New Zealand to come prepared with intense schemes specifically designed to neutralize Sado. We will likely see them try to get physical with him early, trying to push him off his spots before he receives the ball. We might see double teams coming from the baseline on the catch. They will try to speed the game up, hoping to tire the big man out in transition. But this is where Kai's maturity comes into play. He has seen these defenses in the B League. He has faced the best in the world. He is no longer the rookie who gets flustered by physical contact. He is the veteran who uses that aggression against the defense, finding the open man or drawing the foul. The term revenge mode is fascinating here. Usually, revenge implies correcting a personal failure. In this case, Kai Sado is stepping in to correct a team failure that occurred in his absence. He is coming to prove that the loss Gilas suffered without him was an anomaly, a temporary glitch in the system caused by a missing part. He is coming to validate the November 2024 win, to prove it was a fluke, but the new standard. For the rest of Asia, this game is a barometer. Teams like Japan, China, and Korea are watching closely. If Gilas Pilipinas can dismantle New Zealand again, convincingly, with Sado leading the charge, it sends a message that the balance of power in the region has shifted permanently. It signals that the Philippines is no longer just a fast-paced, guard-oriented team, but complete inside-out juggernaut that can match up with any physical profile in the world. Let's talk about the specific dynamics of the February 26 game. The Mall of Asia Arena, or wherever the venue may be hosting this thunderous event, will be electric. The pressure is immense. When you are a 7'3" icon in a basketball-crazed nation, the weight of expectation can be crushing. Every touch, every missed rebound, every turnover is scrutinized. But Kai has shown a remarkable ability to remain stoic. In that 2024 game, amidst the chaos and the deafening crowd, he was the calmest person in the building. He controlled the tempo. He didn't force the issue. That mental fortitude is perhaps his most underrated skill. The tall Blacks' helpless narrative in our headline isn't just hyperbole. It is a tactical possibility. If Kai Sado is hitting his mid-range jumper, which drags the opposing center out of the paint, and then passing over the top of the defensive cutters, New Zealand really does have very few answers. They cannot put a smaller guy on him. He will shoot over them. They cannot put a slow or big on him. He will drive past them or facilitate around them. He is a matchup nightmare that fundamentally breaks the tall Blacks' preferred defensive shell. Furthermore, we must discuss the union aspect. This is a reunion of a team that knows it is better together. The chemistry between Sado and the Gilas guards is something that has developed over years of youth competitions and FIBA windows. They know where he likes the ball. He knows where they like to shoot. This isn't a mercenary dropping into a random system. This is a return of the prodigal son to a family that functions best when he is at the head of the table. In conclusion of this analysis, we have to look at the long-term picture. The FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers are a stepping stone. But for Gilas Pilipinas, beating New Zealand is about respect. It is about erasing the memory of the losses suffered when they were undermanned. It is about proving that the 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists from 2024 were the baseline, not the ceiling. The entire Asian basketball community is trembling with a mix of fear and excitement. Fear, if you are an opponent realizing you have the game plan against a 7 feet 3 inches giant with guard skills. Excitement, if you are a fan of the game who wants to see the highest level of competition. On February 26, 2026, Sado puts the jersey back on. The wait is over. The excuses are gone. The what-ifs regarding his absence will be silenced. All that remains is the court, the ball, and a New Zealand team that is about to find out if they have any answer for the full force of Gilas Pilipinas. The history books are open. The pen is in Sado's hand, and if the last meeting was any indication, he is ready to write another masterpiece. Stay tuned, because this isn't just a qualifier. This is a statement to the world, and we will be here to cover every second of it.